Okay, this is one of my favorite sections, and because it deals with presets. And presets save you so much time and usually are a great jumping off point for creativity and getting you to that place that you want to work, and gets rid of and automates the busy work that you have to do a lot of times with editing photographs. And we've already talked about it a little, but we're going to go a little more in depth to it. And so I'm going to come over here, and now I'm going to open this up, and now I've got my preset panel right here. And what happens is Lightroom already comes loaded with all these different presets. And they're great stepping off points for stuff that's going on in Lightroom, and it will really give you a great idea of what's going on. If I just click on these things, these are the black and white filter presets that here's the blue filter, the blue high contrast, the green filter, and they're just showing you some great different looks that you can have just right here already in Lightroom. Now here's the thing, whenever I click on a filter over here, what's going on is these sliders are changing, and especially if we go down to the black and white, watch what's happening. I change that and the sliders change. That's all presets are. Presets, remember, hopefully you remember the old cassette recorders. You'd press record and it would record whatever you do, and then you'd hit stop, and now you'd have an exact copy of that you could play anytime. That's all presets are. Whatever I change over in these panels, whatever sliders I adjust, once I come over here and hit plus and say I want to save that as a preset, all it's doing is recording what sliders have been changed. It's not doing anything magic. It's just simply where the sliders are in all those panels, or only certain sliders. You can choose which sliders to do in there. So let's do this. So what I'm going to do is I kind of like where the blue filter is. Now we've got all these black and white, these tone presets, color presets. You could spend hours and days just checking out all those presets. But let's just start with the very first one here. And one of the things I'm going to do is, it's a great starting off point, but I want to make sure that I add a little more clarity to this, to bring out the rocks a little bit more, and I want to open up the shadows a little bit more, because Eric, that's Eric Vallon, by the way, if you don't know him, great guy, and we were out trapped in Vegas together for a little while, but that's a whole nother story. But I want to open up the shadows a little bit and bring the highlights down, and then let's do this. Let's go down here to detail check, sharpening, just a little bit of sharpening, no noise reduction, and then finally I'm going to do, you know what, I'm not going to put a vignette on this, because here's another thing with presets. You usually want to create a preset that has the base changes that you want to make without the extra little bells and whistles, because sometimes you may not want those bells and whistles, and sometimes you do. So what I'm going to do is, I'm not going to do any of that right now. I'm just going to simply come over here, and I'm going to create a new folder. And what I'm going to call it is black and white, if I could spell. All right. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to change this to, since I did it from the blue filter, I'm going to do blue remix, because that can kind of tell me where the start of it was. Name it whatever you want, but somehow to remember what it is and what it does. And then so what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure that it's auto-toned. No, I don't want auto-tone, because what that will do is that won't affect the shadows and the details. It's just going to give me straight auto-tuning, not tuning, sorry. And then I want clarity, sharpening. I want the black and white mix for sure. I didn't do any of this stuff over here. I didn't do really any of that stuff. So that's all I want. And now I'm going to hit create. And so now, because it lists everything in alphabetical order, I've got the blue remix setting right there. So now what I can do is I can come over here, and let's grab Eric being manly right here, and I'm going to see how the blue remix does on him. Here's the thing about presets. They're generally not a one-click does everything perfectly every time. Depending on your composition, what's in there, the light, the exposure, all that stuff, It's a general starting off place, and sometimes it works great on a lot of photos, and sometimes it only works great on a certain amount of photos. So what that may mean is I come in here and I've still got a little work to do. I've got to come back in here. Let's open up the shadows a little bit more. Let's open up the exposure, and now maybe I decide, yep, I'm going to add a lovely vignette. So I'll bring that over to something like that. Well, now guess what? I'm going to go add that preset. It's in the black and white, but I'm going to say Eric is a stud, BW, and I'm going to leave all that turned on, but I also did the post-crop vignette. I didn't add any grain, so I don't need to worry about that, but that would be what I'd like to create, and say yes. All right, so that should be a good understanding what presets are, so you can create all kinds of folders. I've got this folder as black and white presets. This is Lightroom presets. I've got my user presets, and you can see I've got these different ones in here. I could turn it into a sepia slam. See that? Ooh, it just doesn't look good on that, but it looks great on some other stuff. Let's try ye old. Nope. Saucy. Black and white slam. You see, you create these different recipes, but just like when you're cooking, you can't always go to the same recipe. You're creating a bunch of different ones that are great starting off points. And so just get in here and start playing around, looking at what kind of presets you can make, and just go in there and find out what's going on with them. Now, remember I said this is one of the areas where you create your import sauce. Remember that this is how you can create all that stuff that you're generally going to do over and over again. And now you just simply click on that, right click on it, and make sure you set that one for apply on import. If I did this one right here, BW Slam, apply on import, now all the photos that came in would come in black and white. And if you didn't know better, you would kind of freak out that all your color was gone. But remember, this is non-destructive, so even though I've used a preset on it, it's not permanent. It can be changed, it can be eliminated, it can be gotten rid of, it can be tweaked. So even if I accidentally applied the wrong preset on import, it's just laying on top. I can get rid of it, tweak it, do whatever I want. So don't worry so much about messing up the presets. You can also download, share, do all kinds of great stuff with presets, and by simply coming in here and go to import if you've downloaded some, export if you want to share them, show in Finder where the presets are, and this is a great place to be able to go, hey, you want my saucy preset, you can copy that and email it to somebody else. It's just, they're wonderful to have, and you'll find that once you start playing with presets, it's just like sharing a recipe with somebody else. It'll be a great thing to do. Hey, I've got this great black and white conversion. Why don't you try it out? And then they'll go, yeah, I love it. Look what I did. I added grain. And it's a great way to really, once again, push your creativity, and it's very simple and easy to do. It's just, the whole idea of presets can be a little scary at first, but it really is super easy and a lot of fun, and can really get you going into some neat directions very quickly. Just get in here and auto-tune and play with all these things, and just play around with it. It's a great thing to have in Lightroom. It's one of my favorite things, so I hope it'll become one of your favorite things too.